What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are actually going to be going back and doing another villain ranking video for Galactic Assault, as the other version I did roughly 5 or 6 months ago is pretty outdated. Almost daily I'll get comments on those videos saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe you've got this character ranked so low," when obviously there have been a lot of changes since then. So I thought it was about time I fixed up this list, and even though most people will still probably disagree, at least this list is a little bit more relevant. Now, before we get into it, I do just want to make it clear that this is just my own opinion. Majority of you guys will most likely disagree, which is fine of course, and if you do then make sure to leave your own rankings down in the comments. Again, this is just for Galactic Assault. If you guys want me to, then I might eventually do one of these for HVV as well though, so let me know if that does interest you. So anyway, getting stuck into these rankings, coming in at number 10 we have Captain Phasma, and I don't think this will come as a surprise to many people, as she definitely is not the best character in the game. Don't get me wrong, she isn't by any means bad, and I've actually had some pretty decent games with her lately, so even though she used to actually be legitimately bad, I actually do rate her pretty decent even though she is last on the list. Her Staff Strikes ability is so much better now than it used to be, but even still I think it's not the best ability out there, and it is very situational, as you can only really use it if someone's within a few meters of you. Her other abilities are pretty decent, especially her Survivor ability, but unfortunately sometimes she is pretty reliant on her Sentry Droid, which is kind of cheap in my opinion, although not nearly as much as HVV, but unfortunately for me, Phasma does have to come in at last place. Now, coming in second last for me is Count Dooku, and this was a really hard choice honestly, because it's mainly to do with the fact that he is a little bit bugged at the moment rather than just being a bad character. He's probably my favourite of all the new characters that they've added since October, but I don't know what's happened to him over the last few months, because at least to me anyway, his saber attacks feel way slower than they used to. His lunge distance is probably worse than Phasma's Staff Strikes, and as far as I know, Duelist does increase the damage, but I don't know if it actually increases his swing speed anymore, at least not all the time anyway. In saying that, when he is working as intended, he's a really decent character, and even despite being broken, I've still had some nice games with him recently, so he's definitely not bad, but he does unfortunately have to come in second last. Moving on to the number 8 spot, we have General Grievous in a very similar situation. Grievous is actually a beast in my opinion, but for me it's the bugs that really make him hard to play at times, as well as his terrible stamina, which is also a little bit of an issue. Like I said, when he works he's actually an animal, and honestly if he worked 100% of the time he'd probably be in my top 5, but 3 of the last 5 times I've played him, his Claw Rush has actually stopped working to where I can't actually even activate the ability at all. Thrust Surge can be good, but again it's pretty inconsistent, and his low stamina is really the nail in the coffin for me. In saying that, Unrelenting Advance is actually finally a really good ability, and despite all the bugs, Grievous is still probably one of my favourite characters, so I do hate having to rank him so low on the list. Coming in at number 7 we have Emperor Palpatine, and this is one of those choices that is really just a matter of me not being good with Palps, because honestly if I tried looking at it objectively I'd probably have Palpatine in third on the list, because he is definitely a pretty decent character in the right hands. For me though, I just don't play him enough to do well with him, and every time I do play him I tend to struggle because he's so unique from everyone else, and I just don't quite have the grip on how to play him properly, so unfortunately he does have to be pretty low down on the list. Like I said though, in the right hands he is definitely a pretty decent character, but after he was so broken all those months ago, I've probably played him maybe 4 or 5 games since then, so that has definitely affected my ability to play well with him in Galactic Assault. Now, coming in at number 6 we have Iden Versio, and she has really moved up on my list compared to the last one, as I think she might have been 9th on that one, or at least something similar. I've always said that she's objectively a really good character. She has a really well-rounded set of abilities. Her blaster is probably one of the best in the game, and she has a deadly alternate fire and all that good stuff, but for the longest time I just could not do well with her. I've been playing her a lot more recently while I was making her hero guide, and I do have to say that once I got the hang of her I realised what I'd been missing out on, because she really is a very decent character. Moving on to number 5, and this one will most likely cause a little bit of a shitstorm in the comments, but I have chosen to put Boba Fett at the number 5 spot. Boba is a love or hate type of character for most people. With such a low amount of health and health regen, he is known to be pretty weak, but I have to say I do think he deserves more credit than he gets. Don't get me wrong, he can go down super quick and there is no doubt about it, and he can struggle a bit when it comes to playing in close quarters areas if you're not too safe, but the fact that he can dominate on pretty much every map, as well as just getting into areas that no one else can and cause so much havoc, I think that is why I rate him so highly on the list. He did also recently get a few really good changes, some added health plus mid-air recovery and dodges, and I think he is definitely a beast now, especially if you can get the hang of him. This one is definitely a bit more biased seeing as I'm a Boba main, but honestly I could arguably put him higher on my list as well, so I think that number 5 spot is pretty fair. Moving on to number 4, we have Darth Maul, and this was a tough choice because honestly Maul is probably my favourite Saber character in the game, and I do think he could arguably be a little bit higher, but I have settled to put him in that number 4 spot. Since the last version of this ranking list, he actually did receive his block ability and his saber throw finally works as intended, so I've been having a whole lot of fun with him lately, and I think if you can get a little bit lucky and play your cards right, he's probably one of the harder characters to kill in Galactic Assault. He did used to struggle a little bit against heroes at that block, but honestly he does pretty damn well now that he has it, and that definitely does help you do a lot better in GA, as it's pretty much inevitable that you are going to come up against other heroes. Now moving on to the top 3, and coming in at 3rd we have the second bounty hunter in Bosk. Up until Anakin arrived, I probably would have said Bosk was by far the best character in the game, both light side and dark side, mainly just due to how his abilities are so deadly, as well as the fact that he can fully regen his health too, which is unique to Bosk and Bosk only. Obviously now that Anakin is here and a lot of the other characters have received hefty buffs, he does unfortunately drop down a little bit on my list from that number 1 spot, but I still think there's a decent gap between Bosk and any of the other blaster heroes in the game. No matter if you're in close quarters or way out in the open areas, he has something that can take care of enemies regardless of the situation. And sure, he does have low health compared to some of the others, but like I said, the fact that he can regen it to full at all times really does set him apart from the rest. Now, coming in at the number 2 spot, we have Kylo Ren, who was actually 8th on the list last time I made the video, because let's be honest, he used to straight up suck in this game. His frenzy was useless, his saber damage and swing speed were terrible, and all round he just wasn't very good compared to the likes of the other saber characters, but boy oh boy, he has seen a massive turnaround since that last video. His frenzy is now probably the best and probably the cheapest ability in the game. Combining it with pull and freeze is genuinely unbeatable, and on top of that he's got massive buffs to both his swing speed and his damage output over the course of the last 6 months. Kylo has always been one of the more enjoyable characters for me to play as, but lately he's been so much more deadly than he used to be, and for me he does arrive at the number 2 spot. So finally, coming in at the number 1 spot, we have my favourite character in Star Wars, Darth Vader. Now I don't really need to say why Vader's so good. He has some of the highest damage in the game, the highest health in the game, and some of the best abilities in the game as well, especially when you combine them all together. His choke and saber throw combo is literally unstoppable, which honestly probably should get fixed because you actually can't escape it, but regardless it is absolutely beastly, and combined with all of his other stats he really is just a walking death trap that can be pretty damn hard to take down. He not only dominates regular troopers as every hero does, but he can pretty much just toy with other heroes, and even if you're not all that great and you come up against a really good hero player, chances are you can still probably win that fight. So for me, Vader is easily deserving of that number 1 spot. So that is going to be it for this one, guys. I'm keen to see how many people either agree or disagree with this list, so like I said, definitely feel free to let me know your own list down below. If you did enjoy the video, guys, then make sure to leave a like down below to help support the channel. I will be releasing a Heroes Ranked video as well, and then if you guys are interested, I might do all 20 characters in one single ranking to kind of compare both light side and dark side, so let me know if you do want to see that as well. If you are new to the channel, then feel free to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on any more Battlefront 2 videos or live streams. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.